And we're back for another crazy, exciting episode of Creators Collective. And it's been a little while, so this should be a fun one as we'll be doing a little bit of catch up for what we've been going on. But before we get started, I have to say a huge thank you to our patrons on Patreon, particularly Darren Mates, Caleb Harris, and our newest top collaborator, Judith Grass. Thank you for joining us. So if you'd like to have your name mentioned on air, you can go to Creators Collective /podcast /Creators Collective. Wow, I had a problem there. And you can join us there. So thank you for that. Also, if you want to listen to us, you can listen on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you listen to podcasts. And we record live every Thursday, or most every Thursday, here on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go to YouTube and search for Creators Collective, you can find us there. So let's dive into the show. We've got a lot of things we've been working on, as it's been 2 weeks since we recorded last. So, Zack, what have you been doing over the last 2 weeks?
Well, let's see. I don't remember what I did leading up to work. Oh yeah, I do. So anybody who's seen the Paul Jackman plane, right? That thing's made its way across multiple. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah, you might have seen.
I got to touch it.
Yeah. So I had 3 days. When I got back from Sacramento a couple weeks ago. I was forging up there, and it was kind of a short notice thing. So I forged the big screwdriver, which I think that's going to be coming out on Paul's something soon. Gigantic screwdriver. I forged the bit for that. And then really last minute notice, he got the idea to do this big hand plane. And he's like, man, what if I actually put a real blade in it? So he hit me up, and I had 3 days to forge. I don't know if I'd even say forging. There was some forging, but I had to make this plain blade and chip breaker. And so that was a total race. It turned out really well, though. There was some tricky situation. The chip breaker was the difficult part because I did have to how it curves. So I had to forge that down and cut it, and then TIG weld it with some silicon bronze to fill it back in. So that was kind of like triage a few days before Workbench Con. Unfortunately, I was not able to record that, so it won't be on the build won't be anywhere to be seen on my part, but Paul will have that. Let's see. So that's what I did before Workbench Con, which was great. I'm not going to go too much into that right now because I figure we can delve into that in a bit here because Will was there, and Will is taller than I thought he was. Are you what, 6'1", 6'2"?
I'm about 6'1", yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I just didn't
6'1".
think you were. Yeah. I thought I would be taller than you, and I don't think I am.
That was my voice people commented on the most. I feel like Paul Jackman, he portrays himself as a pretty big guy, but we're about the same height. Me and Paul. It's just kind of funny, the Jackman size, But yeah, I'm a tall man. Yes.
Let's see. What else was I doing? So yeah, Workbench. Well, we'll keep on. I want to go back there, but we'll save that. Let's see. I just got back a few days ago, and I had an order for one of those leather tote bags, and it's been like a year since I've made one of those. So it was actually kind of nice because I just able to spend the day inside and kind of do some nice relaxing leather work, which was kind of reminded me how much fun that could be. So got that knocked out, got 4 hammers forged yesterday, cross pins, which are, they take twice as long to forge as the rounding hammers. So that was a full day's work. And for anybody who's watching, see
these mugs.
I got these fancy hand-thrown ZH fabrication mugs from Deneen Pottery. They're the nicest coffee cups I've ever seen. I got one after buying one of Chris's from Third Coast Craftsman, which is actually what I'm drinking out of this morning. And I liked them so much that I decided to order some for myself. So those are for any coffee snobs out there. I have those for sale on my website.
Nice.
Let's see.
You could probably even drink tea out of them too.
I don't think you can.
No, just coffee.
No, just coffee. Yeah. That's all I can think of at the moment. Just trying to get caught up on some orders. Yeah, I don't know. I think I might take a break from forging hammers for a couple weeks once I get caught up. I want to do some more hand forging. I want to do some, develop some skills instead of just kind of take a break from the production, which, yeah.
Sounds about time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's one of the things we talked about in the, our talk at WorkBenchCon is do what you feel like doing. If you can, I mean, if you have that option, like, I was saying that my income stream changes like every 6 months or every year. I'll do something and then I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this anymore. I'll do something else. And that way, I don't burn myself out on it. So if I ever want to go back, it's welcome. So I think I might do like I'm thinking about putting up hammers for sale on my page for like 2 or 3 days. And saying like, if you want one, order it now because I'm not going to do any more for a while. So we'll see.
That talk that you and Paul did was both inspiring and hilarious. So Paul's, the video that kept playing over and over again was ridiculous. But what I was left with after hearing you guys talk was striving, like forgetting about all the social media stuff and forgetting about like chasing this algorithm and hitting it big, but to really try to learn to become the best at something for the passion of it. Like you don't want to be the best at forging hammers because they're awesome. And that, followers or whatever, the vainness will follow.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of that's what started the whole idea of the talk is after WorkbenchCon is great. And I love it primarily for the networking and hanging out with the community. It's the best community I've ever been involved with. But after seeing all the talks last year, like I actually felt, I remember we went back to the hotel lobby and I was like, man, like this makes me not want to do this anymore. Like all of these talks for me, this was last year. I was like, these are the most uninspiring talks. And it's not because it wasn't good information, but it was the approach to success that I had a problem with. I've never wanted to focus on all the, I think the means should justify the ends, not vice versa. I think, if you're passionate and you're really inspired and you you create and you love it, everything else will fall into place. But when you set all of that aside, which is the reason that you got into this, honestly, nobody got into this for the money. This isn't a rock band. Like you didn't get into this for the women and the money and the fame. Well, maybe nowadays I have no idea, but, but like you got it, more than likely you got to know it because you love it and it's like meditative and you're inspired and you enjoy it. So to put all that off to the side and focus on search engine optimization and algorithms and trends and anything that's in quotation marks, like just don't let that kill it. That was kind of the premise of the talk. So yeah, sorry.
Well, I took a lot away from it. So I think you're right. Like WorkBenchCon, attending the talks that were more, less, algorithmy and more like watching Ashley Harwood, turn because she's at the top of her field. That was like, holy crap, that's awesome. But yeah, like I don't know, like seeing some of the people there, I'm not going to name any names. It kind of like gave you a glimpse behind the curtain of like, successful channels are all about. And it's very much like what's going to drive views and what's going to drive like what demographic are you hitting, and that it's not why I got into this. So
exactly. And I'm not saying that, like, I mean, I think, I don't know if it's like you got to find your north, or like find your like figure out what it is you want to do. If your goal is to just burst out of the gates and gain as many subscribers and views as possible, then by all means, like, make that, if that is your primary goal, then ignore everything that I said. Like, you're going to have to squash out and strangle out your passion, because that's that's not the way. That's, that's not the fastest way, but it's like the it's a long distance versus a sprint. Like, if you hate it, you're going to quit eventually. So, I mean, that's my take on it. But if it's a business, if it's like, you know what, I'm going to work from 9 to 5 every day, and I don't care if I fill it full of things I enjoy, or whether it's just things that I think are going to make me the most successful. If that doesn't matter to you, then just slam out those epoxy river tables and those charcuterie boards and all these, like, find the trending posts on Pinterest and knock them all off. Like, that's but I mean, and I'm saying this, I sound like a jerk saying this, and I don't think it's bad. I just it is not what I want to do. It's not what I got into this for. And you're never, I think it's more exciting, the possibility of starting a trend, of setting one, and you're never going to do that if you're following what's trending and you're trying to ride the coattails to success.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
so what was your big thing, Will?
My big thing, what, at WorkbenchCon?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was amazing. Like, it was so awesome just to be in one spot with all these different creators that you respect and admire, and the camaraderie was just it was also kind of an ego fluff for me. A lot of people coming up to me telling me how much they loved what I did, and how they really wanted to make my talk. And my talk was on, basically me and Rick did a talk on camera 101 out of the camera that you probably already have, but then transitioning into 201 and more visual storytelling and tactful editing and natural transitions and things like that, to have the camera stuff drive the story versus being gratuitous edits that are like 20 minutes long and nothing driving the story. And so that talk was really, really well received. A lot of people were coming up to me and talking to me, buying me a beer, later at the hotel bar, just to, just because they wanted to learn more and pick my brain more. That was just, it was just awesome. It was amazing.
This was like your first big, like, event, right?
It was, yeah. I don't get out that much, and I was invited.
They're addicting, man. They're like a drug. I remember the first time I met everybody, I'm like, man, when's the next one? Like, I'm booking tickets now.
Yeah, no, and like, I also felt like a chance to, like, kind of drive change in the industry of specifically woodworking. So we went out to dinner. There's like 6 of us. And we went out to dinner. It was Popular Woodworking and a guy from Woodcraft, and just me and Rick and some other creators, and talking about the demographics of popular woodworking and how do we change that from a more elderly crowd to getting more the craft, and introducing them to techniques and kind of appealing to a younger crowd, just to drive, the working with your hands. And yeah, so we're talking, about ways to do that. And I feel like they were really listening. So that was just like really just, I don't know. Everything was just awesome. But then I wish I could have made it.
Yeah.
Man, it was so good.
You weren't there. You were there last year, right?
No, I wasn't able to make it last year either.
Yeah, I would say that if there's, at this point, like, if there's one event that you're going to go to, Workbench Con is like the highest concentration of.
See, I was looking at either Workbench Con or Makers Central, and I had the opportunity to fly to Makers Central, and so I chose that one instead.
We still want to go to that, but it's like we're waiting to see if we're still, doing job and house hunting. So if it doesn't conflict, we will be there. I'd really like to go to that.
You have to hang out for a while. My wife will be there too.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest bummer for me this year was that on the way in, I got a cold on the plane, I'm assuming. And I was sick as hell the entire weekend. It was a battle for me to, like, my voice was gone like halfway through the first day. So I was in bad shape. And for me, the best part is Workbench Con is great, but for me, the best part is like afterwards when you hang out in the lobby and you go out and have dinner with people and just like that, kind of, you get some more intimate time with the community. Like that's my favorite. And I was not able to do any of that. So it was a real bummer for me. And it just, my, my energy and enthusiasm wasn't quite where it should be. So I hope I didn't come off as harsh to anybody who is, who I met or talked to or anything. I was just not feeling good at all. So I was kind of bummed out about that.
We got to hang out by the bathrooms.
That's true. Yeah. I drank the most water I've ever drank in my life trying to flush that thing out of me. I still have it. It's been a week almost. Yeah.
What else you got, Will?
Before I left for Workbench Con, I was trying to wrap up this big tabletop and just didn't get there. But I am about to apply the 3rd and 4th coat of finish on the top. A little delayed because I put the first coat on and realized that I had missed some spots sanding, and was really bummed that I had to strip that whole top. And
no,
but the second time I went at it with a card scraper, and I don't know why I just don't do that the first time every time. Card scrapers is just a better tabletop surfacing tool. You can see, like, you can see your progress of where you've.
Do you have a cabinet scraper?
I don't, so I'm all doing it by hand.
See, for tabletops, that takes it to the next level because you also get the burnishing action of the sole as well as the card scraping, and it's just yeah.
If I find one, I'll pick one up. But I don't have one. And then I came back from Workbench Con and wanted to focus on finishing the other side of my basement to put a bedroom and a bathroom over there. It had all been framed out, and I put some insulation in, and I thought I would knock it out this weekend. But I called my drywall guy, just trying to get on the schedule yesterday, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be there Friday." And I was like, "Oh crap, I need to finish before drywall goes up." So I was like venting bathroom fans and throwing up bats of insulation until 9 o'clock last night. But that's done. And I wouldn't be surprised if the drywall delivery guys show up in the middle of this podcast, bringing in like 40 sheets. So yeah, that, and I did some turning the other day after watching Ashley Harwood at Workbench Con. She's really, really inspiring. I'm trying to get a good finish on some turnings, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool. What do you got going on, James?
I have been failing at every project I have touched for the last 2 weeks, and it's really starting to get sad. I've been trying to get the scroll saw working for 3 months, and every time I finish one step and I break through fixing one thing, something else breaks, and it's building these linkages to run the flywheel in the system that can connect to a smooth rod and provide the force through the rod without slipping or breaking the bolts off, or I've been running into all sorts of issues with it. And so that's been driving me bonkers, but I'm hoping to get that here soon so that people can actually see the scroll saw working. Then I've made a, what is it called? A spill plane. Because I did a video a while ago on one I bought but I wanted to make one. And so I spent all yesterday making one, and everything was going great on it. It was looking fantastic. And then I drilled one hole about an 1/8 inch off, and it completely ruined the entire plane. It's one of those things you can't go back and fix. You can't like fill it. You can't move it over. It was done. So I had to rebuild the whole thing. And that was painful, but it'll make a good video of, not everyone completes a product, not everyone does things perfectly, so that should be coming out Saturday. Let's see what else. We got the house trim, so I'm finishing that up. I have 200 board feet worth of trim, 30 I think it's 3,500 feet of trim pieces to go up, and then kitchen cabinets, putting that in. But the big thing I have going on right now is the video coming out tomorrow is one that I have had more people asking lately than anything else. And that is, what is the Stanley numbering system? So what is a Stanley number 4, number 5, number 6? Where do they get used? What's the difference with them? So I set them all out on my bench, 2 through 8, with all the halves and all the quarters, so that everyone can see the progression of planes and how you use them, where they get used. And so I'm thinking that video will help a few people out. We'll see. You never know. But yeah, it's about my life, other than completely, sitting in a corner crying because I'm not at WorkBenchCon watching all the people who are there. That's yeah.
So to James, I think they so I was talking to Dan Carey. I don't know if you know him from Instagram, or Handy Hal. He's the one with the little action figure in the workshop.
His posts are great. They're one of my
yes,
favorites. They're just like so like wholesome and fun and good. I don't know why wholesome comes to mind. It's not like woodworking posts aren't wholesome, but they're just no,
it's totally innocent but fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was talking to Dan Carey, Rockler booth, and so they had their bench dog planes out. They had a block plane, a number 4, a number 5, a low angle number 62. Then I was just checking them, and so then a woman comes up and she was asking about the planes and what each one does and what's why would you choose one or the other, and so I started explaining it. And then next thing I know, there's around watching, and then I'm trying to take a shaving, and the iron's kind of dull, and they didn't have a sharpening system, but Dan had a strop in the back, and he went and got the strop, and I'm stropping it. And now there's 15 or 20 people hanging around, watching me do this demonstration. And Megan, person from Rockler, is videotaping me on her phone to post to Rockler later. And I'm doing this demonstration, and I strop the thing, and I'm taking fine shavings, and all of a sudden there's this impromptu event that wasn't planned, but and I think I sold
in your face. Mr. Walker, yeah. Mr. Walker, tell us about your stropping technique.
Yeah, I'm sure I sold at least 10 planes for Rockler that day. So
no, I've been wanting to play. I've been wanting to play with those bench dog planes. I have a block plane that I like. They make some pretty decent stuff. So
does anybody know who makes? I should have made. I felt like making that pause longer just to see how long. Anybody know?
Yes, I do.
Kind of weird. How who makes those? Do they make them themselves, or they made by?
They're made in India.
Yeah.
Okay. Does whoever make them also make any other brands that we might be familiar with?
I have something I can't really talk about, but yes.
Ooh.
I've got an NDA that I can't talk about it, but yeah.
I'm pretty good at connecting things. Figure it out. Who does Will work with?
I don't know.
I'm assuming. I have no idea.
Along the questions we've been working with WorkbenchCon, we actually have a question came in from Tim Cunningham. He asks, no, not Tim Cunningham. Where is it? Oh, there we are. Make Brooklyn asks, how do you decide which cons or cons? What?
Conferences or cons? Yeah.
Which conferences or cons you attend and which to skip?
I go to whichever one James is not attending.
No, I personally try and go to as many as possible, but I have to draw the line somewhere. And so sometimes if they're big trips, I try not to do more than one a month. But yeah, sometimes it happens. But yeah,
I go to the ones that I get paid to go to. Yeah,
I think for me, it comes down to, you know, how is the community? In other words, are there people that will know me? Are there people who I can connect with in YouTube? Because one of the big reasons I go to the MWTCA meets is not for buying tools, but for meeting up with people who know me, because that's a large majority of my audience goes to MWTCA meets. Whereas WorkBenchCon is a little bit more power tool centric, and so it's a little bit farther down on my list. But the community and the interacting with other people who make videos, that's invaluable.
You know, I live on an island, so I don't get to do many of these things. WorkBenchCon is definitely, I think that has become the premier get together. It's just the biggest event. There's plenty to do. Then it's there's a lot to do in Atlanta. It's just a fun. I mean, if I had to pick one, that's certainly the one that I would make. There's another one. So Spring Make is coming up, I think April or May. I can't remember. I have no idea. Maybe it's May. That's going to be up in Cleveland, and I know Lincoln Electric is kind of promoting that one, and that one's going to be a lot more hands-on. It's also a little bit more expensive, but I think it's because there's going to be a lot of I believe they're hosting it, so there's going to be there's going to be a lot of welding and consumables, and it's kind of more of a I think the idea is that it's kind of more of like a hands-on type event than WorkBenchCon. So that's coming up in a couple of months, and I know there's going to be. I know Jimmy DeResta, April Wilkerson, Johnny Brook, Malecki, Rodriguez. There's going to be a handful of us up there teaching as well, and I guess I'm teaching like a blacksmith workshop crash course thing up there. So that's another one. If you missed WorkBenchCon, I'm assuming that's going to be the next biggest social media event.
Yeah. So there used to be a couple others, but then Popular Woodworking's what did they call that one?
So IWF? No,
it was every other year, and it's specifically woodworking.
Yeah.
But they stopped that one. And Handworks stopped. Or at least they stopped this year. They might come back next year. We'll see. So the list has changed.
I should add, since I have a discount code, anybody who's interested in the Spring Make event, I don't even know the website. I think it's springmake.com probably. But I don't know. They gave me a promo code, and it's just my last name. I wish they would have done anything else because it's difficult for everybody. I think the discount code is just Herberholz, which is my last name. So if anybody's thinking about it, there you go. Have your $100 off.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we've got a couple other questions. Tim Cunningham, who I talked to, mentioned a moment ago. Zack, are you going to make a video showing how to make a pair of your J Sharp tongs?
No.
Well, there you
go. So
I like it.
So the reason being is it's kind of like a guarded thing, which sounds ridiculous, but so J Sharp was like a legendary farrier / tool maker, and he was from what I gather, he's like the epitome of he was the epitome of a grumpy old man, like a good guy, but just kind of an ass. And he kind of guarded him, and then he passed a few years ago. There's only there's only a handful of people that know how to make them. And that sounds ridiculous. It sounds like there's like sorcery involved, but it is significantly more involved, and it's the least intuitive forging I've ever done. Like it's pretty tricky, and I don't even have them down yet. I've made 3 pair under somebody's guidance, and I'm making the tooling to be able to make them for myself. And I'm sure it'll take me a month or 2 to really be able to nail the process. The reason that I'm not going to share it is because the person who taught me said, "Hey, do me a favor and don't share this information." So I will respect his wishes. He sells a lot of them. That's John Williams of Guildworks, who is I think certainly one of the best blacksmiths in the country. He's full time, and I mean, it was incredible seeing him. For everything he forges looks like it just came off of a mill. It's so clean. So he asked me not to, because there's the handful of people that do make them. That's kind of their thing. They make a living off of producing those and selling them. And I don't want to be the one that leaks that information and, affects their income. So as much as I would like to, I'm not going to. Cool. But if anybody has questions, once I get a few down, I'll give some advice and tips and what I can, but I don't want to like put a video out there for thousands of people to, I want to respect the other smiths in the community and not take food off their plate. So that's why. Cool.
Let's see. Karson Bys asked, Will, are you going to re-edit the desk video?
Yes. So this time too, we were talking about, my videos now versus my videos then, and what I've kind of learned along the way, what I've gotten better at. And we were talking about sound design and how like 70% of what you see is what you hear. I said, yeah, go back to like my desk video. It's a good video with a lot of good information in it. I think the desk turned out really great. It's still in my office, but the sound design was absolutely horrible. The music was too loud. I was, spiking my audio. I was clipping. I just didn't understand, what good audio sounded like back then. And so I was saying maybe I should go back and re-edit that video, with what I know now. I might re-edit that video, Karson. Thank you for asking that.
I think that was one of the first videos I watched of yours.
Oh, cool.
A while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah.
Cool.
I think it was like 3.
Well, let's actually jump into our Creators Photo Challenge, because we're going to give away something, and I think it's Will. It's your turn this week, right?
I think so. Yeah. So you will win a cherry bowl.
Cool.
Turned.
Not the place where people play football, but a bowl made of cherry.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
For those of you who don't know, the Creators Photo Challenge is a challenge that we put out every other week. And you can put up a picture on Instagram that fits the guidelines for the photo challenge, and then you put a hashtag on it, Creators Photo Challenge, and we will judge you to pick which one we like the most. And so this week we are choosing one that fits the category of negative space. So a negative space in the camera that draws the eye to an item or creates an image.
There are a lot of really amazing pictures this week.
Yeah, this week was pretty good.
Not a lot, but there's a lot of really, really good ones. Some of them don't really have anything to do with negative space, but they're still really good pictures.
Yeah. And if you guys do want to win something, this is actually a really good chance, because most of the time it's like 1 out of 12 or so or less. And so if you spend your time and make a decent picture, number one, you get better at making images, as well as you get a good chance of winning something from the 3 of us. Zack, have you picked yours yet?
I have.
You have?
Okay, I'm going to go with McAllister Home for number 1. It is just such an amazing picture. Black and white. It's a chisel and a continuous shaving, and it's just an amazing. It's just a great picture. Very simple, and everything. It's very simple, but all of those simple things are done perfectly.
Those of you watching, it is a picture with a black background lit from, it looks just a single side where a chisel is coming along making a curl. No, there's actually, there's a balanced lighting on it. But it's making this perfect Fibonacci curl, and the chisel is standing up in the wood at an acute angle, and it looks absolutely gorgeous.
I wonder how he did that, if he like had to photo edit out the tip of his finger holding that chisel up or something.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's just held in there. It looks like a cherry or a walnut. No, it's too light to be a walnut, but who knows?
Yeah. So that's my number one. My number two is Claws Creations, which is a bunch of axes with like some red in the background. And I mean, aesthetically, it's not like the best picture out there, but it's just, it's as far as using negative space to kind of create a, you know, in following the theme and doing something cool and original. I think it's very good.
Very eye-catching.
Yeah, it is an excellent use of negative space to show like the, I guess not technically the profiles of the axe, but the kind of the silhouette of them.
Almost looks like a saw teeth hanging down.
Yeah,
like a really close up on saw teeth, but every saw tooth is an axe head.
Yeah. I actually had a different take on that one. That also is one of my picks. Which now I'm cringing because I think shipping is going to kill me. But the axe heads, the silhouettes of the axe heads with the red light, the negative space in that image almost like make like Spy City skyline in that negative space. And I just think it's just really pretty nailed it. Hashtag nailed it.
I wanted to give a shout out to a couple other ones though. Viral Kajiwala, like standing on like a, I don't know, something with like two birds flying. It's just super ridiculous. I just have to say that
he's hijacked our hashtag.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because it doesn't have any.
Yeah, there's a few in there.
But it's like super ridiculous. Like it looks like late 80s. It looks like it would be at home in like the end of a Def Leppard ballad music video. And also Fieldstone Arts. It's just a cool thing that he built. So yeah.
Oh, the hanging balls?
Hanging balls. Yes, the hanging balls.
Cool. Which ones did you pick, Will?
So Claws Creations for everything that we just talked about use of negative space. And then my second one, I had a really hard time choosing between a couple, but Blackthorn Creations. And it was right down the center line of the cathedrals on what looks to be a piece of gummy cherry. And if he had just cropped like to the edge of the cherry and didn't some stuff kind of off to the side there,
the wood flooring behind it.
Yeah, the wood flooring. If you just crop that out, I think it'd be just the really like just boom, perfect. But yeah, I still thought that was a really good use, kind of using the
way to blow at Blackthorn Concepts. You were so close.
So close, but you're still my number two. So yeah,
I
James,
love that old beat up chisel in that picture. It's just beautiful chisel.
Yeah.
Let's see. I picked number one, Flogger's Craftworks. Foggles Craftworks. Has a
frog legs.
Frog legs, yeah. I think I've blown his out of the water too before. But he has this plane sitting on a white background, and at first I'm thinking, it's just it's a little too simple. But looking at it closer, it really made me want to focus in on the plane and study it and think through it. And I love the way it came out. simple picture, but did some fantastic work there. And then my second pick is also the Claws Creations, the hanging axe heads. Really beautiful. It catches the eye. It's one of those pictures where if you're scrolling through Instagram, picture, you stop on that one. It draws you in. It's very beautiful. So I think Claws Creations is the winner this week.
I think you're right. The only reason I didn't also choose Frog Legs is because he won the last bowl that I turned.
I picked him after seeing that you guys had already picked, so I knew it was pretty safe. But he was the one I wanted.
Yeah. So Claws Creations, if you get in contact with me with your shipping address, I will ship you a cherry bowl. That's going to cost me $100 to get there. But our bowl, no. Yeah, just get in touch with us through Instagram or email or Facebook, and we'll get it to you.
Cool.
Do you ever use that Panacryl or whatever, something like for
Pentacryl?
Yes, that stuff.
Who, me?
Yes.
I just know the word. I don't actually know exactly what it is.
Oh, it's for when you like turn green wood and then you kind of like wipe that stuff on and let it sit for
for slowing the drying
5 years, and then you can finish your bowl. However long it takes for that. That's the thing. That's the biggest thing that I don't like about turning is like that delayed gratification. Like you turn it and then. Well, I mean, but it seems like if you want to do it like the right way, and if you want to like be able to turn it thin and not have it crack, seems like that's the way to go.
To answer your question, no, I don't. You can also put it in a paper bag with shavings and talk to 5 different turners, and they'll tell you how long to let each one rest. Some people weigh them. Some people just say, 6 weeks. They'll say, no, you have to wait a year. And then some people just turn them green thin and let them wonk out a little bit and do whatever they want. That's actually how I prefer to turn, because I'm the same way. I don't want to have storage of, bowls upon bowls upon bowls. Just kind of sitting around.
I kind of like the ones that I've seen. Like, I kind of like the ones that are not perfectly right. I like the ones that are like kind of like warped and warbly, and like I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just from like turning them green and letting them dry out naturally.
I just be cherry burl bowls that Will, you and I turned a year or so ago. Those ones both warped out pretty nicely. Great shape.
Yeah, they went crazy. Yeah,
I just be scared of like cracking,
Well, if you cut the pith,
part of the aesthetic.
But if you cut the pith out, you shouldn't have any cracking. You should just have movement, because there's no, like the pith is, the growth rings go around the pith in concentric rings. So as it dries, something's got to give, and that's what makes cracks. If you cut that pith out, you'll have a far less chance of cracking, but it will still warp, as the rings kind of relax.
Sure. Cool. Well, if you want to join the Creators Photo Challenge for next week, next time we're going to be doing the Golden Rule, or the Fibonacci spirals. Will, why don't you tell us what we're looking for in that one?
Yeah, so the golden spiral, they're actually 2 different formulas, but pretty much the same result to get the spiral. Fibonacci wrote about the number phi, I think it was called, and it's a ratio of 1.61 something or other, and it's found throughout nature, like on the bark of a pineapple. The ratio of the size of this little piece to this little piece is the same ratio as this piece to this piece and this piece to this piece. In your arm, like the ratio of like the tip of your middle finger to the end of your palm to your forearm is the same as like from the wrist to the forearm to the shoulder, and it repeats itself all through nature. And if you draw on a board, say you have 2 squares, and we'll just give them a unit of 1. It could be 1 inch, 1 centimeter, 1 potato, doesn't matter. So you do 1 + 1. Okay, so now you have a block of a 1 unit block and now a 2 unit block, and that equals 3. And then 3 + 2 is 5, and then 3 + 5 is 8, and then it just goes out, kind of feeding off of itself, and it makes a goal. If you follow from corner to corner, just look it up. It's visuals are going to help describe it better. But so using that as an element of composition to frame your shot, to create your photograph, putting along one of those lines, or your subjects along the line of golden spiral. That's the photo challenge this fortnight.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you all come up with this. So we'll be doing that 2 weeks from now, and we will judge your pictures. And probably, I think it's my turn to send you something. So you'll be getting something out of my shop. Let's see. We do have a joke of the week that came up from Make Brooklyn. And he asks, who was the roundest knight in King Arthur's table? Circumference.
I love that one. Bravo.
So if you have a great dad joke you'd like us to tell, go ahead and send it to me or one of us, and we'll try and get that on the list to tell. Yes, circumference. Yeah. Let's jump into what we're watching, reading. What's inspiring us? Will, what you got?
Because I'm keeping up with the theme of bowl turning and inspiration, I gotta say Ashley Harwood and her boyfriend Dan, who is a really amazing hollow form turner. He's out of the Pacific Northwest, and Ashley is out of Carolina. And watching her turn a green natural edge or live edge bowl out of cherry, and she turned it green to very thin walls. And I asked her the same question, Zack, about letting it dry, versus she said it depends on the different types of wood. But cherry, she said you can turn it green and it'll move some, but it shouldn't be too bad, shouldn't crack or check. Yeah, so she's just inspiring me to turn more and be better. You're a pretty decent turner, and then you watch like a really good turner, then you realize that you suck hard.
I saw Carl Jacobson a few years ago, and like I've never seen a bowl turned faster in my life. It was ridiculous.
The finish off of the tool, like she didn't sand at all. The finish off of the tool was impeccable. Like I couldn't find one ridge line, one tool mark on her bowl, and I just wanted to. Half of me wanted to, and half of me wanted to just throw all my gouges out.
Half of you wanted to grab the bowl and just smash it on the floor.
Yeah,
Take
exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, well,
there's your tool mark.
Nice broken bowl. Smashly.
Yeah. Yes, Smashly. Oh, okay. All right. I'm finding everything too funny today.
Well, I'm going to have to go to my my science background of what I like to watch. And this week I watched SpaceX's live launch. They were launching a satellite and a lander going to the moon. And it was absolutely fascinating to watch these live online and see the trajectory and where it actually is in relation to the Earth. Fascinating thing, and I don't know why, but I really, really enjoy these. So yeah, SpaceX doing some really cool things. Definitely worth checking out. What you got, Zach?
Well, I've spent most of my time on airplanes lately, so I've been reading through this gigantic Anvils in America book. I think I might have said that a few weeks ago. Yeah, it's an interesting.
I thought you were going to say Sky Mall.
Yeah, Sky Mall. I have a dog hair plant infusion device. That made sense. Yeah, so it's an interesting book, and I think I remember talking about it a few weeks ago, like how little we know of these companies that are like, only 100 years ago or 120 years ago, we're like, we don't really know when Hey Button started making anvils. There's certain companies that produced, hundreds of thousands of anvils. And we're like, we don't even know really where they were out of. It's kind of surprising to me because like every anvil like manufacturer like burned down at least once in their history. But it's kind of interesting. And it's also a gold mine for old like advertisements and like graphic design. It's amazing to me how much more refreshing ads were 100 years ago. Just like simple font, simple picture, and like catchy slogan. Like that's it. That's the formula. There's like no red, arrows and circles and like percentages, and like everything's just so overdone now. It's nice to see like old advertisements for where it's at. Yeah.
Cool.
I concur.
Well, do you have a favorite tool of the week, Zach?
Vitamin C. Take more of it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, Will, what you got for favorite tool?
With Starbond CA glue. So they recently contacted me and sent me out some stuff just to try out and maybe become an affiliate of theirs or something. And so I've had mixed results with CA glue. I've had some of them like really don't stick like they're supposed to, and some of them are super sticky and like you just look at the bottle and your fingers are stuck together. But so I'm really happy with Starbond, and I actually did a video on my Instagram of a cool trick installing butterfly keys or dovetail keys or bow ties or whatever you want to call them, stabilizing checks. And I used a mix of Mark Spagnolo's tip about blue tape and CA glue for laying out templates and things like that, and Mike Pekovich's tip to lay out like dovetails. And so I would lay blue tape over my check and then put blue tape on the back side of the dovetail key, and then put CA glue on one half and activator on the other, and position the key over the check, and that secured that to where I can mark it with a marking knife. And then as I peeled up the dovetail key, the marking knife would cut, instead of just marking knife lines, it actually left the out tape of the actual dovetail key. So it's a really good visual aid, but also gives your chisel a reference on just that, however thick blue tape is. But using that tip has given me the cleanest butterfly. I've cut a lot of them, so that's my tool of the week is Starbond CA glue. Check them out.
Well, I have to actually go with a handsaw, and I'm not talking what everyone thinks about as a saw you power with your hand. I'm talking about the actual saw called a handsaw. It is a handsaw that it's a hand-powered saw that's at least 26 inches long, if not longer, and usually has fairly large teeth, like 4 to 5 ppi. And the one I'm particularly thinking of is an Atkins with a ripped filed tooth. It's just such a nice tool when it is sharpened up well and set correctly. They rip through wood phenomenally, and it feels good. Just one of those things it's very enjoyable to use, especially if you have a twisted brain like I do. They're a lot of fun.
Is what you would call a handsaw, like the actual name, like what you're saying, not just like
yes,
a saw.
You have a handsaw, which is a long handsaw. You have a panel saw, which is a shorter handsaw, and then you have a halfback, which is slightly shorter with a back on it. And then you get into your back saws.
But the handsaw, just for visual reference, is that what like people play, like with the bow, like where they bend it and yeah, okay, cool. I guess just me that's ever seen that.
Yeah, most of the saws you find in the big box store are actually panel saws. They're not hand saws. They're not big enough
because they're shorter.
Yep.
Interesting.
Bit of history. So I think that will about do it. This has actually been a really fun time, and I do want to say a huge thank you to our patrons, especially Darren Mates, Caleb Harris of You Can Make This Too, and our new one, Judith Grass. Thanks for helping us make this better. And if you'd like to find out more, you can find us at creatorscollectivepodcast.com, or you can join us live every Thursday on YouTube, Creators Collective YouTube channel. So I think that's about it for today. And until next time, have a wonderful day.
See you guys later.
Adios.